This is your daily Facts Matter update, and I'm your host, Roman from the Epic Times. And today we are here at an airplane hangar in the great state of Ohio, and we're about to take off on a plane in order to get an aerial view of the trucker convoy as it's making its way over to Columbus. Let's fly. Now, after getting up into the sky, I realized exactly why it has been so hard to gauge the size of the convoy. Because as the semi-trucks, pickup trucks, the trailers, the cars, and the vans are making their way through, well, it's a little hard to determine who's with the convoy and who happens to just be driving by. Now, of course, you do have people with very conspicuous flags and posters, which makes it obvious, but as you can see through this footage, it's a little hard to gauge for yourself. And so, as an addendum to this footage, here is some drone footage of the trucks when they are a bit more bunched up together. What happened was that last month, after the Canadian truckers drove into Ottawa in order to protest against the vaccine mandates of the Canadian government, well, it inspired a similar movement here in the United States. And so, exactly 11 days ago, several convoys were formed around the country, and they began to slowly make their way to Washington, D.C. And actually, I didn't know this at first, but a good friend of mine, who is a decorated war photographer named Michael Yan, and who, by the way, I haven't seen since our time together over in Hong Kong, well, he was with the convoy since day one.
I've been following the truckers I flew from Florida out to California to get with the truckers near Barstow, California, at Adelanto, and this is day 11, right? So we started off in Adelanto, went through Arizona, New Mexico. No law enforcement hindered our way. In fact, they were very supportive and waving at us and turning lights on, flashing lights, that sort of thing. They closed down the vehicle inspection stations in Arizona and New Mexico, let us just keep right on rolling. And so, as you can see, the truckers' morale is quite high, and we must have crossed at least 100,000 people on the sides of the road between California and here. Today is not as many. I think it's because it's early in the week, and also it's very cold. But other places it's been huge numbers, bridges completely full. Even in Albuquerque, New Mexico, which is said to be a blue city, there was huge numbers of people there. Right
now, as he mentioned, after driving for hundreds or in some cases thousands of miles, just yesterday, 5 or 6 different convoys, they converged over in Monrovia, Indiana, which is right outside of Indianapolis, and it was there that they held a rally of about 3,000 people, give or take about 1,000. In fact, so many people showed up that the organizers were told that the city had to close an exit of the highway just because of the sheer number of vehicles that were coming through. In terms of just the semi-trucks alone, there were well over 100. And at the rally, they first sang the national anthem, then speakers came up and talked about why they're riding, what this trucker convoy means to them, as well as what they're trying to achieve. And it's worth noting that the people who were there were not all truckers either. In fact, among the speakers, there were doctors, there was an airline pilot, there were several veterans, a lawyer, there was Indiana's Attorney General, and of course, you had the truckers themselves. And then after the speeches, we got a chance to walk around and speak with some of the people who came out, and we asked them what brought them out there, what they're hoping to accomplish, as well as where they think the country is headed. Take a look at some of the highlights. Although, just to mention, these are the YouTube-approved clips. Take a look.
What is the best case scenario? What do you think the best case for the convoy would be? What do they achieve?
That we maintain our free republic. You know, enough is enough. We've got to stop this. It's got to end.
If we continue down the road we're on, what do you think is going to happen for the world our grandkids inherit?
That we'll have communism. They'll be eating their shoes to stay alive. We can't have it. We don't deserve it.
Last question. What do you think of the mainstream media coverage of the convoy?
We'll have to wait and see.
Is it a girl, actually? Yeah. Oh, oops. I should have known by the flower in the head.
I'm here actually from Wisconsin, and I'm here for my kids and for every other school age kid that's in America right now, because if we don't fight for their rights now, they're going to be gone. I actually just went to the school board in our county 2 days ago. I was the only one that talked about having the kids have masks optional, and everybody on the board, all 13 members, used my testimony. I'm here. It took 2 years of me fighting the school board for my kids to finally go to school without a mask on. I'm done. I'm over it. This needs to knock it off. I'm a Navy vet. Shout out to all our veterans serving now and past. But this needs to end now. This is America. This is not, Russia. You know what I mean? We're not a socialist country. We are a free nation, and that's what this is all about. Being free against anybody else telling me that it's better that my kids or me get the vaccine, which is not.
Listen, I'm just very proud to be part of this. This is peaceful people who want to keep their republic, just like Benjamin Franklin asked us all those years ago. And I tried to inspire tonight, but they gave me more motivation and more inspiration to do my day job as Attorney General than I think I've ever given to them. So I'm just pleased to be a part of it.
Then at about 9 o'clock this morning, the truckers got back on the road, heading east towards their next stop, which is going to be Cambridge, Ohio. And it was while they were traveling between the cities of Dayton and Columbus that we were able to fly over and see the truckers from the sky. And so now this new larger trucker convoy, which someone last night mentioned stretched out about between 20 to 30 miles, will continue on through Pennsylvania, over to Maryland, and then it'll make its way to the Washington, D.C. Beltway. And also it's worth noting that there are still several other independent convoys that are separately coming as well, such as the one from New England, which just hit the road yesterday, leaving from the state of Maine, heading also to the Washington, D.C. area. And so once they reach the Beltway, which is likely going to happen around Saturday, because as I mentioned on a previous episode, when we were in D.C. just a few days ago, well, the city was on high alert with barricades as well as National Guard troops scattered all throughout the city. However, the organizers themselves, they said that there's no need for such measures because unlike the Canadian convoy, the People's Convoy does not intend to disrupt either roads or bridges. In fact, here is what Mr. Brian Bass, who is one of the main organizers of the People's Convoy, he was one of the speakers up on stage, he made a point to tell the media that this trip will be a, quote, 100% safe, lawful, and peaceful journey that will terminate in the vicinity of the D.C. area but will not be going into D.C. proper. A lot of people have asked why we're doing this. What's your reason behind it? People want a defined, clear answer. They think it's one thing. The truth is, it's about my children. It's about my future grandchildren. It's about our families. It's about our country. It's about letting our government know that you work for us. And so we'll just have to wait and see how the convoy develops, as well as what happens when it reaches D.C. However, if you would like to get access to the full uncensored video of yesterday's rally, which of course includes all of the speeches as well as about an hour and a half of interviews with the people who were there, you can find it over on Epic TV, which is of course our awesome no censorship video platform. I'll throw a link to it. It'll be in the description box below. And if you use the promo code Roman, like my name Roman, you can get a 14-day free trial. So you can try it for yourself, see if you like it. I hope you do. I hope you subscribe, and then I hope you share it to your friends and family as well. Again, the link to Epic TV will be right there in the description box below. And now, since I've been traveling the country a little bit over the past week or so, I got a chance to speak to well over a dozen lawmakers, and I asked them, what do you think of the convoy, and what would you tell the truckers directly? And here's what they said.
That's right. Our sponsor for today's episode is a phenomenal organization that not only advocates for conservative values, but also provides awesome membership benefits to over 2 million people across the entire country. I am, of course, talking about AMAC, or the Association for Mature American Citizens. Now, they are quite literally one of the fastest growing conservative organizations in all of America, especially for those aged 50 and up. Although, frankly, you don't have to be over the age of 50 to join. You can be any age. And if you do join AMAC, you will get phenomenal benefits such as money-saving benefits, access to cutting-edge news, and in fact, they will actually send you a bi-monthly magazine directly to your mailbox, which is quite honestly awesome. I love AMAC's magazine. However, besides all the money-saving benefits, a lot of people said that they joined AMAC because of the fact that they fight on Capitol Hill for conservative values. Here's in fact what they wrote. As a socialist storm is brewing, if you care about the future of America, like the 2 million members of AMAC, then you should join as well. And you can do so over at amac.us/factsmatter. That's amac.us/factsmatter. Go on there, join the organization. It doesn't cost that much. However, the membership benefits are great, and the cause is even greater. Again, that's amac.us/factsmatter.
Look, the American people are so fed up with the double standard they see from government, the attacks on our First Amendment liberties. I mean, you think about every right we enjoy. I say this probably every speech I give now. Every right we enjoy under the First Amendment. We have 5: right to practice your faith, right to assemble, right to petition, freedom of press, freedom of speech. Every one of them has been attacked over the last year. I mean, you think there's still a few places in the country where a full congregation can't meet on Sunday morning. I mean, that's in America. That's not supposed to happen. I always use the example. A year ago, I spoke to the New Mexico Republican Party in Amarillo, Texas, because they had to go to Texas to get freedom because their Democrat governor wouldn't let them get together, wouldn't let them assemble in their own darn state. So you just go on. Jen Psaki stood at the podium in the press room in the West Wing of the White House. The White House is considered the center of freedom on the planet. And Jen Psaki said these 2 statements. She says, most Americans now get their news from social media platforms. We, the Biden administration, are working with these platforms to limit information that Americans can see. Disinformation, misinformation stuff. I mean, what? You're the press person from the press room saying you're trying to limit the press. That is frightening. So, and we know what's happened to speech. I mean, you know what we've seen the cancel culture mob and the attack on speech. And I tell everyone, if you can't talk, none of your rights mean anything. Because can you really practice your faith? Can you share your faith if you're not allowed to speak? So this is scary what is happening, and people have had it. They're like, we're tired of the government telling us you can't go to work, you can't go to church, you can't go to school, but the people who make those rules violate them all the time, the double standard. So I mean, I understand the frustration. God bless these truckers who are standing up for freedom. I get why Americans have had it, because I've had it. I mean, it's just wrong to see the very people who put these rules in place who won't follow them. But they're going to continue to, for us common folk, you know, that they look down on, they're going to continue to limit our freedoms. It's wrong, and Americans are going to stand up.
Listen, we are a country that's based upon the right of the people. Don't be violent. Don't commit criminal activity. But you have a right to peacefully assemble. You have a right to make your voices known. And the truth is, the American people are sick and tired of these vaccine mandates, the mask mandates, of government intruding into every area of our lives where they have no business being. Not that anyone, myself or anyone else, is opposed to vaccines, but I'm opposed to vaccine mandates. I'm not opposed to masks, but I'm opposed to mask mandates. I'm opposed to the government telling everybody what they must do in order to continue living their lives in a free society and going to their workplace or whatever it may be. And the American people are sick and tired of that. And the truckers have the right to voice their opposition to these type of egregious policies that are impacting their lives, their businesses, and so forth. And so, you know, I would just encourage them to proceed. Just don't be out of hand. Don't do anything foolish. Don't break the law, but let their voices be known, and I believe the American public will stand with them.
You know, I think I'm calling on people to peacefully protest. You know, they're going to try and miscategorize us. Don't be surprised if you see some kind of psyop where the intelligence community are trying to make these people look like they're violent extremists, or there's some kind of Nazi or some kind of white supremacist. I'm guessing these are just good, hardworking Americans who are going to be the mainstream media is going to try and paint as these radical extremists. But remember, just like nurses were heroes last year, just like truckers were heroes last year, they're now the villains because they're refusing to get vaccinated. They're now the villains because the enemy has said, oh, well, you're an undesirable. And so these people don't care about the working class. They only care about holding on to power. And it's time for really, I believe, a populist movement to rise up and take our country back.
The truckers, I admire what they're doing. Look at what the message they're sending to a tyrant like Justin Trudeau in Canada. Americans are feeling the same way about this administration. He's been missing in action, and the things he has done has been off base for what freedom represents. And so I'm glad they're doing it. It's just a sign of the times that people are getting involved. Everybody feels like we're losing our country, and they know now it's we the people to get involved.
Stay in there, hang in there. I love the fact that they're fighting. for the government to stay out of our business and not be able to take our personal freedoms away from us. I know that when they get there, in D.C., it'll be a big inconvenience for a lot of people that live there and stuff, but I think the bigger picture here is they're fighting for all of our rights. They're fighting for our personal freedoms that have been taken away. We saw what happened in Canada. It's not a stretch to think that could happen right here in the United States now as far as we've gone. I tell people all the time, if you showed me where we were in the United States right now, where Biden has led us, and you compared that to a few years ago when Trump was in office, I would have told you that the kind of stuff that happens in this country that would never happen in this country. And I would tell you that if it did happen, it would take decades to take place. Joe Biden has done it in 1 year. In 1 year, he has completely changed this country for the worst, and he's taken away our personal freedoms. And we just got to get them back no matter what. At some point, we have to put our foot down and say enough is enough, and that's what the truckers are doing to some extent.
I'm saying they're doing what they need to do. We're talking about freedoms and liberties that are being actually, they're in jeopardy. And these folks and these trucks, I got a good friend who is a trucker. He may be part of that convoy. They need to be able to have their voices heard, and by doing this, going to D.C. and their convoy, they're going to make their voices heard, and we're going to make sure that they have the freedom that they need and they exercise liberty.
Now that's all for us here. We're going to continue following the convoy until it reaches D.C., and let's see what happens when it does. Until then, I'm your host, Roman from the Epoch Times. Stay informed and stay free.